Good to see everybody. And this is a great book. I had a former professor that wrote a commentary on John, and he called it John, the Gospel of Belief. And what you need to really focus on in this book is that primary purpose. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and what? The Word was God. And how does the book climax? There's a little afterthought for a chapter or two. But what is the climactic scene in John's Gospel? Well, without wasting time, it really has to do with the presence of Jesus to his disciples. And the first time, Thomas was not with them. What nickname have we given Thomas? Doubting Thomas. I'm not sure that that's exactly right. He was an individual that liked to have evidence for what he believed. That's not a bad thing, that's a good thing. But anyway, the second time, well, the first time he said, I can't believe this. You say that he was here and he was alive, but he was dead. And so the second time Jesus appeared, Thomas is with them. And so Jesus just simply said, Thomas, he said, you just reach out your hand and you put it in the wound. I want you not to be doubting or unbelieving, but believing. And do you know how Thomas reacted? He said, my Lord and what? My God. So in the beginning was the Word was God, and it ends with the confession of Thomas after the life of Jesus, the crucifixion, the resurrection, my Lord and my God. And the book all the way through is leading to that. And even this story about the Samaritan woman is there for the purpose of showing how even among those that were not fully Jews, Samaritans, individuals became believers in Jesus. And it was because of the miracles that Jesus performed. And we'll get to the text here in just a minute, but do you remember the miracle that Jesus performed with the woman at the well? It was quite spectacular. You're going to have to really excuse me. In addition to being blind, I'm deaf. And hearing aids are almost worthless. So I'll do my best. I'll walk halfway back. And did you?
He knew all about her past.
Yes,
and
that's exactly right. Go call your husband.
Yeah, and I don't have a husband.
Yeah, I'm not married. And I don't think maybe we give this woman her dues. A man in the first century, a Jew, could divorce his wife if she burned the toast. I mean, that's just an illustration. She had 5 husbands. Well, our first reaction is, well, she wasn't a good woman. After 5 husbands, maybe she didn't want to get married again. And so she had a live-in, which is absolutely wrong. But it's pretty standard in America today. Do you know back in about 1990, I went to Berlin in Eastern Europe, right after the wall fell. And I had a former student that was living over there and preaching. And if he's not dead, he's still over there. He married a German wife who was the nurse at the college and moved over there and has preached in Germany all of his life. And he said, I cannot go out and find a young couple that is married. They're all just living together. So what we think is exceptional back in New Testament times is just ordinary today. So maybe we should think in terms of a little leniency toward the woman. I'm not, please don't misunderstand me, I'm not condoning her just living with a man. But the many husbands that she had may not have been her fault. It may have been their fault. Okay, we need to read this. So who wants to volunteer beginning in verse 1 of the 4th chapter of John? You want to do it for us? Read down to verse 9.
Where do you want me to start?
First verse.
First verse. The Pharisees heard that Jesus was making and baptizing more followers than John, although Jesus himself did not baptize people, but his followers did. Jesus knew that the Pharisees had heard about him, so he left Judea and went to Galilee. But on the way, he had to go through the country of Samaria. In Samaria, Jesus went to a town called Sychar, which is near the field Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there. Jesus was tired from his long trip, so he sat down beside the well. It was about 12 o'clock noon. When a Samaritan woman came to the well to get some water, Jesus said to her, "Please give me a drink." This happened while Jesus' followers were in town buying some food. The woman said, "I am surprised that you asked me for a drink, since you are a Jewish man and I am a Samaritan woman." Jewish people are not friends with Samaritans. Jesus said, "If you only knew the free gift of God and who it is that is asking you for water, you would ask him and he would give you living water."
Okay, Brother Curry, pick up there and read on from verse 11 down through, I can't get my page turned. Through
18. The woman saith unto him, "Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water? Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle?" And Jesus answered and said unto her, "Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh the water that I shall give him shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life." The woman saith unto him, "Sir, give me this water that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw." Jesus saith unto her, "Go, call thy husband and come hither." The woman answered and said unto him, "I have no husband." Jesus said unto her, "Thou hast well said, I have no husband. For thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband, and that saidst thou truly.
All right, let's read a little bit further. I'll try and read a few of these verses. The woman said to him, Sir, I perceive that you're a prophet. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and you say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Jesus said unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour comes when you shall neither in this mountain nor in Jerusalem worship the Father. You worship whom you know not. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. But the hour comes and now is when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeks such to worship him. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. The woman said to him, I know that Messiah comes, who is called Christ. When he is come, he will tell us all things. Jesus said to her, I who speak to you am he. And upon this came his disciples and marveled that he talked with the woman, yet no man said, What are you seeking? Or why are you talking with her? It's a pretty amazing story. And the booklet that we have has a specific aim in the story. And I'd like for you, if you will, just to look at the headings for a moment. The first one is engaging in conversation. And the point that that the author is making, David Holder, is that we can learn from this story how to do what we call personal work. And the first is to engage in conversation. You say something or you get somebody to say something. And then learning about life. We Americans are so centered on this life. If the Lord appeared to you and spoke to you, that'd be a great thing, wouldn't it? But he's going to say to you, go sell everything that you have and give the money to the poor and come follow me. Now what do you think about Jesus? Sell your house, get rid of your car, empty your savings account. If you don't have any, empty your pockets. It doesn't make any difference if you have 4 bites like the widow or you have $16 billion like some individuals. Go sell it, get rid of it. How? Give it to the poor, and then you'll be in a position to come and be my disciple. How many Americans would follow Jesus under those circumstances? Pretty silent.
Not many.
Absolutely. It's pretty amazing when we think in terms of our own self-centeredness in life. It really is. When I first started going to Ethiopia, few people made $1 a day. It's like it was when I was a kid here in America. I had several jobs and I made $1 a day. Very different from now. We keep making demands on minimum wage because we're affluent. We have a lot. Most of us and I'm including myself in this, okay? Us includes me. Spend more money a week on Coca-Cola or Pepsi or you name it. There are a lot of modern drinks that people buy, you know, all this jazzed up stuff that's so healthy. We spend more on that a week than most people in the world would make in several months. And all it does is just kill us younger. I wish I were just talking off the top of my hat. But I'm an old man. I've had the privilege to drink a lot of Coca-Colas, or more RCs than Coca-Colas. And I can't even imagine how much money I have thrown away that would have been very useful to some individual whose family was starving to death. Okay, now I said that to simply say that we need to take seriously this idea of learning about life, what life really is, what it means to be a child of God. Learning about self. She really knew her condition. Maybe she kept this last situation under wraps. I started to say undercover, but that was really not a good figure of speech to use. And then learning about God, which transforms our life, it changes our life. We're all sinners who have been forgiven of our sins if we're Christians. So the old man is pretty hard to beat to death. And even though we are clothed with a new person, it's pretty difficult at times really to fit the mold of the new person. And I've said all of that to kind of put us on the level with the Samaritan woman. It's so easy for us to look down on somebody else when, you know, if we're realistic, we're part of the problem too. We need the gospel of Christ. We need to be confronted by Jesus, as this particular woman was. Okay, where is Samaria? You could answer, dummy, it's in Palestine, in the Holy Land. Well, it's right in the middle. There was Judea in the south, Samaria in the middle, and Galilee in the north. It was occupied by the Samaritans. Well, the question is, where did the Samaritans come from? They're not called Jews, they're called Samaritans.
Right? Weren't they like half and half, like what we would consider half-breed or whatever?
Yes, I was just going to say, what is a half-breed? Well, you know, if any of you that have ever watched an old Western, a half-breed is what? He's part human and he's part Indian. I guess that's the way they would have said it back then. I don't know. This is terrible to say. But I knew people. In fact, I knew a preacher in the state of Florida that wrote a tract that affirmed that black people didn't have souls. He was a prominent preacher among churches here in the state of Florida. That's just the way a lot of people think, and it's wrong. A human is a human. It doesn't make a difference if they're tin breed. And most of us are more than that. If you've ever studied any genealogy, man alive, who you're kin to is unbelievable.
Yes, 957.
Did you know that I'm kin to Shirley Temple?
I see.
Did you know that I'm kin to Theodore Roosevelt? I'm pretty big wheel. Well, how? About 47th cousin removed, you know, if you go into the family tree. It shouldn't be a surprise because all of us came from whom? Adam and Eve. So we're all kin. We're all physically kin. Those of us that are Christians are spiritually kin to one another. This woman was looked down upon. The Jews have no dealings with Samaritans, but here's the kicker. It worked the other way around. The Samaritans didn't want to have anything to do with the Jews. When the Jews were taken into captivity and they went into Assyria, when Assyria was defeated, many of these came back. And a lot of them had married Assyrians, had children, their families came back, and they were considered half-breeds. They were part Assyrian or Far Eastern, maybe we could say, and Jewish. Well, right in the middle of Samaria is a little town called Sychar. And there are two mountains in that area. Mount Ebal, however you want to say it, and Mount Gerizim. Does that ring a bell with anybody? Do you remember when the story about when the Israelites came into the land of Canaan? Did they have the law of Moses by then? Yes. So when they came into the land, they came into the center of the land, and all the Israelites are gathered together. And one group of priests is on Mount Ebal, and the other is on Mount Gerizim. And the ones on Mount Gerizim read the curses of the law in the last part of Deuteronomy. The other priests, that was on Mount Ebal. The other priests on Mount Gerizim read the blessings of the law. The curses, the blessings. Ebal and Gerizim. Which one of those two mountains do you suppose the Samaritans built their temple? On the Mount of Blessing, on Mount Gerizim. They were devout. Just remember this one thing about the Samaritans. They believed in the law of Moses. They accepted Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. But their Bible didn't contain the rest of the story. That was Jewish. But they were devout in their allegiance to Moses and the law. Now, they had some peculiarities. I had the privilege of going to that area one time, and this story is set there. Jacob's well. What did the woman say about the well when she talked to Jesus? Well, the well is deep and you don't have anything to draw water with. how you're going to get a drink. I looked that up on AI. I'm pretty smart for 95. 139 feet deep. Now you take a little pick and shovel and a bucket, and you dig a hole 139 feet deep. That's a pretty big task. All right, let's go back and look at some specific things. Engaging in conversation. How did that happen in the story we read just a minute ago?
Well, Jesus was there, and he went there, and he was there for 6 hours. But by Jesus knowing everything, he knew the woman was most likely going to leave there.
Okay, let me stop you just a minute. 6th hour, what time is that? What? 12 o'clock noon. They start from 6 to 6. 12 o'clock noon. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so he was, like he told everybody, oh, he goes to mine. And to me, I think he was there on purpose because he knew that woman was going to come, and then he was going to have opportunity to communicate with her and let her know that what she was, how she was living wasn't right. And then he knew on the other end that she was going to be able to correct that by what she was told from him, Jesus.
Give me a drink. Basically, what I think we could say about this story is, for us anyway, it's an accidental circumstance. My family and some friends were in McDonald's one time. And so we were served, and we had a prayer, a verbal prayer. I don't remember who led it. We started eating, and somebody at a table over there came over to compliment us on the fact that we would offer a prayer for our food. That's an opportunity to talk to somebody. You've had all of these circumstances like that, where there was really an opportunity to talk to somebody about faith. Maybe somebody that had been married 5 times and was living with somebody. Just this little opportunity. And the next thing you know, the topic has changed. It's no longer about, getting me a dipper full of water out of the well that is deep. It's about if you would have asked me, I would have given you living water. Now, some of your translations may do better than living water. What is living water? I mean, let me back up. What would the woman have thought when Jesus said, I'll give you living water? What?
Physical water, not what Jesus was telling her. It's spiritual water. It's a difference.
Well, what's an artesian well? It's kind of like the springs around here. They're all over Florida, aren't they? All of this water is just boiling up out of the ground at a pretty cool temperature. And We're not absolutely unique, but we're pretty unique in that regard. I really often wonder about the composition of the earth as you go deeper and deeper and deeper. What do they tell us about the middle of the earth? It's still hot. We haven't totally cooled off yet. But Jesus isn't talking about an artesian well. What's he talking about? Spiritual life. I can give you water, and when you drink this water, and that's figuratively, you'll never be thirsty again. You know, if we're Christians and we're trying to do what is right, I don't think that we ever become satisfied. What does it mean to be satisfied? You have everything that you want. Do you have everything you want? I think most of us would say no. But we can be content. What time am I supposed to quit? 10:30? What? 20, okay. Oh, we got a lot of time. Water that you drink, that you never thirst again. It is water that makes you content. And there's a big difference between being satisfied and being content. Paul says, I'm content with whatever I have, whether I have little or whether I have much. And we can all be like that. Under whatever circumstance that faces us, we can learn to be content. Well, what did the woman say in return? Give me some of this water. I'd like to have some of this water. Well, did Jesus miraculously create some water and give her? He gave her a question. No, I'm sorry. He gave her a polite command, let's say. What was it? What? Yeah. Go get your husband and bring him. Sir, I hate to say this, but that sounds like our president. Sir, I have no husband. Now, she thought she had Jesus, I think. How did he answer? Well, you're right. You've had 5 husbands already, but the man that you have now isn't your husband. You're living with him. How would most of us react to somebody exposing us like that? We'd probably be pretty mad, wouldn't we? Where'd you get that gossip? I don't remember telling anybody that. But what did she say? I've just figured something out. What are you? You're a prophet. No, nobody, you're a stranger. How in the world? Nobody could know that unless you're a prophet. Well, a prophet is sent by God, and a prophet speaks for God. And a prophet is inspired by God. So she put 2 and 2 together and came up with the right answer. Was he a prophet? Yes, back in Deuteronomy, the 18th chapter, Moses said, God will raise up a prophet unto you, like unto me. And Jesus fulfilled that promise. Jesus Christ is Lord. Jesus, what is that? It's a name, right? Call his name what? Jesus. Jehovah saves. I've not known anybody named Jesus, but I've known a lot of people named Jesus. Isn't that Jesus? I think. That's about the extent of my Spanish. I did take Spanish in high school, and the thing I remember is "Vámonos el burro," "Vámonos," and that's the extent of it, though. I can say maybe hello and adios, but not much more. This was a shocking thing. You're a prophet. She even went a step further in this. If you're a prophet, you can answer a question for me. Which is the right place to worship? Here on Mount Gerizim, where we have a temple, or in Jerusalem, where you Jewish people have a temple? What does he answer? Neither one. It isn't here or there. It isn't the place that matters. Because God is what? God is a spirit. And they that worship him in spirit and in truth. And I want to say something about that before we finish up. There is a tendency today, in fact it's hinted at in the book, that in spirit and truth, the way it's constructed, it isn't in spirit and in truth. It's in spirit and truth. And some of the more modern translations will even say, in a truthful spirit, a genuine spirit, they would probably say. I want to suggest to you that that is not the way the word truth is used in John's Gospel. In John's Gospel, and you just look up the references to truth, it has reference to a revelation from God. We worship God, and we worship God according to God's truth. So we worship in spirit and in truth. God is spirit. We worship in spirit. It is spirit with spirit. You know, it takes so little, even formally, to worship the Lord. I want to ask you, what do we need to worship today? What do we absolutely have to worship today? You're going to have to speak up, or have somebody else speak up for you, or raise your hand, I'll come closer.
Faith. Faith.
What?
Faith.
Faith? Is that what you said?
Yes. Yes.
I'm talking about externals. I'm getting at neither in this place nor that place. What do you really have to have? Okay, let me. Why do we have this building? Yeah, to keep the rain off. Why do we have this carpet? For the sound and for comfort. Why do we have? Why don't we have wooden benches? Why do we have padded chairs? Who is all this for? God? The building is for us. The carpet is for us. The chairs are for us. The lights are for us. The air conditioning is for us. So how much money a month do we spend on us? How much do we spend for God? How much do we give to the poor? How much do we support evangelists in preaching the gospel? As opposed to the electric bill, as opposed to the cleaning of the carpet, the painting of the building. Have you ever worshiped out under a tree? Do we need songbooks? No. If you go to places where people worship under trees, they have it in their heads. They don't have physical songbooks. What do we need to worship? Well, I'll tell you, we obviously need ourselves. We need spirit with spirit. We need the Word of God, but we should have it in our heads. There's an old story that they were having a trial and they couldn't find the Bible to swear by. You know, put your hand on the Bible and I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Finally, the judge, after they looked and looked and couldn't find one, he said, well, go down the street and get Mr. So-and-so. He's got the Bible in his head. And we'll just lay our hands on his head and swear somebody out. I met a man that rode to hear me preach on a mule. He couldn't read, he couldn't write. But you know what? He knew the entire New Testament and he could quote the whole thing because he had it here. We rely too much on this, and we rely a whole lot too much on this rather than using the noggin that God gave us. Okay, let's wind this thing up. What do we learn about God? God's a spirit. God's available everywhere. And we have everything that we need to worship God. We have eyes to see. We have ears to hear. We have a mouth to speak. Sing and make melody. What? In your heart. We don't need anything external. The New Testament is silent about that. But we have it inside. God has given us everything that we need except for two things: grape juice or wine and unleavened bread. And if you have those two things, and two or three of us are gathered together, that's all we need. Pretty simple, isn't it? And if Christians could fathom that, we'd go outside the four walls and we would engage people in conversation and try and bring them to Christ. That's what the story is all about. Okay. There's a lot more. There always is.